And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. I remember as a kid, I used to love playing with toy guns. We would hide in the yard, get on the trees, pretend to shoot each other. It was all sorts of fun. Today we're kind of reenact that fun in a game, a new revised edition, second edition of Cash and Guns, designed by Ludovic Maublanc, and it's by Repo's Production, or Asmodee here in the US brings it out. 4 to 8 players. We'll talk about the differences between this and the first Cash and Guns later. It's sort of a party-ish game, 30 minutes it takes about. So let me show you how it's played. I'll actually show you a clip of an actual group playing this at Gen Con, which includes designer Ludovic Maublanc. So let's check it out, and I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of the game, everybody gets to take one of these cool characters that they will stand up in front of them. Mr. Black, Deacon, James, Farah, Yoko, and all the rest of them. Pick one, put it in front of you, and you will take a black Cash and Guns with an orange tip, different for this version. It says Cash and Guns on it. It's foam, it fits right in your hand. And everyone's gonna take 5 cards that say click, 3 cards that say bang. They're going to put them face down so we can see them, and the game will start. Also, the oldest player starts with this desk. He is the Godfather. Stands it up in front of him. On the back is a play area that shows you the steps. So let's go through the steps of the game. Number 1 is loot. There's a deck of these loot cards. They get put out at the beginning. There's 8 of them that get put out. I put out actually 1 of each just so you could see. And there's different things. There's values. So we have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. We have paintings, which will depend on depending on how many you get of those, will depend on how much money you get as it scales. We have this that will help take care of all your wounds. So if you're about to die, you can get that and be healthy. And here's a diamond. The person who has the most diamond cards, regardless of the values, gets $60,000, assuming they're the only person that has the most. This is also the Godfather, which is always out there. This can be, someone takes this, they will get to be the next Godfather. So that's step 1. The next is we choose the bullet card. So if you remember, we have 5 clicks and 3 bangs. So you're gonna pick which one you're gonna play, and you're gonna put it face down right in front of your guy, we like to do it. And then once everybody has their card down, we go to the hold up. What's gonna happen is the Godfather is gonna make sure everyone's ready. Everyone's gonna have their gun. The Godfather will count to 3. On 3, everyone points the gun to any other person and holds it there. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Everyone will point the gun. Let me show you. I took a video of actually the designer, Ludovic Maublanc, playing this at Gen Con. This is what it would look like with a full table.
1, 2, 3. Yeah! Alright.
Now, the next thing is Godfather's privilege. Whoever is this Godfather can, if he want, tell one person to point his gun anywhere else. Now, that person can point it anywhere else they want, and this is an optional thing. And let's see what that looks like.
So you're the Godfather, you may ask someone to pick target. Okay.
Now the next one is courage. There's a decision that needs to be made. Now let's say this was me. The Godfather will count to 3 again, and on 3 you have 2 choices. If a lot of people are pointing guns at you and you're afraid you're going to get hit with a bang, he's going to count to 3 and you can just lay your person down and you're out of this fight, meaning you won't be able to get any loot, but you won't get wounded either. If you have courage and you want to stand up, instead of laying your guy down, everybody on 3 yells, "Banzai!" So, 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look.
1, 2, 3. Banzai! Yeah.
Now, anybody that had anyone that laid their card down, or anybody that was pointing at somebody that laid their card down, puts their card face down so nobody can see it, which card they had there. Everybody else that's still standing will flip open their card and see whether they shot the person they were aiming at, or if they it was a bluff, if it was a click card. Now, if it's a click card, the person that they were pointing at stays standing. If it's a bang card pointing at you, you must lay down, and you also get a wound. You can actually get hit more than once. Maybe 2 people had guns and they both had bangs, you get 2 wounds. You want to be careful because as soon as you get a 3rd wound, you are out of the game forever, and you cannot win if you're out of the game, even if you have the most money. So if you're laying down, so anyone that's standing after all the shooting because anyone that didn't lay down voluntarily and anyone that didn't get shot will be standing. Those people get to loot in the order of Godfather first and going clockwise. So starting with the Godfather, they might take a painting and people will start drafting these things in clockwise order. Now, interesting enough, if there were only 3 people, they can draft a bunch of these again in a row. The last thing I told you about, I didn't tell you about, was this is a clip, is you can essentially take a bang card from the discard pile and replace it with one of your click cards, which is cool. You can take this. If you take this as a loot, you are the next Godfather, or if you already were the Godfather, you stay it. And this gets drafted one at a time by each of the players in clockwise motion by everybody who is still standing, and then that is the end of the round. We would continue this again and again for 8 rounds. Once the 8th round's over, anybody who's still alive counts up all their money. The one who has the most is the winner. There's also an advanced version where everyone can get a special ability. There's 16 different special abilities, and let's look at just what some of these do. This guy's unbreakable. Instead of getting killed on the 3rd wound, he can have up to 5 wounds. Miss Stealthy there. When they determine to lay down, they can immediately steal a 10,000 from the bank, from the loot pile, if there is one. The Vulture, when a player is eliminated, you can take randomly 2 of their loot cards. And the Kid, the player chooses a target after all other players in the hold-up phase. That's just a few of them, but they kind of break the rules like that. And you can determine, you can either randomly give them out, or you can give out, we played a house rule, you give out 2 of them, they get to choose. But that's just an advanced way to play the game. All right, well, there's Cash and Guns. First, let me talk to you about the people that have never played any of the versions of Cash and Guns. Then I'll go to people that have played the older version. So as it's up, if you've never played Cash and Guns before, this game is a blast to play. I mean, it is a very fun party game. It's one of my favorite party games now. I love this thing. The more players, the better. I love how you can get 8 people in a room, and if you go from like 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 players, it doesn't add any time really to the game. And I love when a party game can scale well and it doesn't add time when you do that. Just the fact of pointing the guns at people. Now, again, some people might get offense to that. I actually had one guy who says, you know what, I'm not very positive or negative on gun control. I'm pretty much in the middle. I don't have a big attitude about that. But it just seemed a little funny for me to be pointing guns at people. And you might get that reaction from some people. But for the majority of people, it's just silly fun. If you just look at it lightly and you're just going to be pointing guns, and it's fun to see who's pointing at people, and it's a blast. And then when everyone yells, "Banzai!" that's always fun. So it is just a really fun game. And the aspect of drafting those cards is so interesting because you can see who you're going to go for, what you're going to go for, where you're going to go. The aspect of grabbing that Godfather card to be able to point someone somewhere else, or to be able to, be the first person to get a bunch of goods to draft is a lot of fun. The special abilities add a good amount of replayability value with this game. There's not a whole lot more I can say. It's a blast. It's one of those experience games where hopefully with that video from Gen Con that I just showed you of people pointing guns, yelling banzai, it gives you a better experience than me of just showing it to you on the table there. So it's one of those experience games that's hard to kind of get the feeling of it by watching just someone talk about an overview, but it is a blast to play. For those that have played the original Cash and Guns, wow, just going up to 8 players now, if that was the only change of this game, that alone would make me want to buy it, because playing with 8 is awesome. Second, adding that Godfather where you can be the first one to draft and you get to have someone point somewhere else, that's awesome as well. Usually you'll do that when someone is pointing at you and you want to point somewhere else. Although I played this with Tom at Gen Con. He was the Godfather, and I was pointing at somebody else, and he goes, "Dan, I'm going to let you point at someone else as long as you don't point at me." I go, "Okay, yeah, I won't point at you." He goes, "If you lie to me, I will not trust you ever again." I go, "Okay, that's okay." He goes, "Okay, go." I point it right at him. Like, you gotta be kidding me. And I had a bang card down, so he got shot. It's fun adding that little mix into there. The drafting, wow, adding that drafting, it really makes this game so much better than the original. And, grabbing those paintings, and if you grab 6 of them, you get like 60 grand or 100 grand or something like that. All of it just fits together. The 60 grand for the diamonds, it's just, I don't know. I would, if you had the first version, kick that thing to the curb and get this one, because it is so much better. A great fun party game, Cash and Guns 2nd edition.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.